Can you imagine, honestly, seriously, can you imagine tens of thousands of, 18 to 24-year-olds today storming the beaches of Normandy? Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Michael Voris Show. I'm your host, Michael Voris. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the lack of real masculine men in the culture, in the church, especially. The reason there are so few masculine men in the culture is specifically because there are so few masculine men in the church. We just came off our Strength and Honor, annual Strength and Honor men's conference. We talked about a lot during the Michael Voris episodes in the past couple of months. It's a great weekend, had fun time, everything was good. But, the reason we have a men's conference is because it's really to sort of offset the destruction of the notion of manhood in so many men's minds. There is this, why did feminism back in the 60s and 70s, the feminist movement, which is now entrenched in society, the effects of it are entrenched. You don't have, 25-year-old women walking around, burning their bras and, big bonfires in Berkeley and, the Gloria Steinem, leading the charge and all of this crazy stuff and, Ms. Magazine and Mademoiselle and all these things. You don't have that presence because it's not needed anymore. When the feminist movement invaded the culture, its aim wasn't really to promote women. It was to destroy manhood and to destroy it with the understanding of the patriarchy. The patriarchy, because it was male, obviously, patria, father, was seen as an oppressive thing. Now, let's be fair. In many instances, males completely overstepped their bounds, treated women as subservient. There's a reason when these great big horrible movements happen, there's a kernel of truth, at the base of it. The Protestant Revolution, for example, had the church and her leaders been holy and living it out and all of that, Martin Luther first of all, he wouldn't have made the observations he made because none of that stuff would be going on. But even if it was, you would not have had the embrace of it. When bad movements take off, they take off in opposition to something bad that's already happening. Doesn't make them good, but two wrongs don't make a right. But you can understand from just sort of a human psychology point of view why things advance the way they do, even if they're bad. People don't embrace something that they don't see a need for or recognition of. Even if their understanding is wrong, that's how these movements begin and gain rapid ascendance in them. So in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, even 60s, were a sufficient number of men, a sufficient percentage of men abusing their masculinity for their own personal gain? Yes. Admit that straight up. Yes. So that's why the feminist movement was so able to ignite across the country, because women saw themselves not as equal partners with men as far as their dignity, but oftentimes just sort of abused. You can look at the airline industry. The understanding was, you were a slender young flight attendant, stewardess, and the pilots got off the plane and had sex with you, and you had to agree with it or you wouldn't keep your job. This is an abuse of masculinity, at least the masculine traits. It's not man. Men don't do that. Bad men do that. So, but now what has happened is the feminist movement, and I know there's always, this stage and that stage and this and the fourth degree feminine. I don't care about all that. The point is, manhood, masculinity is completely undermined now. And this is true in the Catholic world Certainly. I'd even go so far as I said at the beginning. If it's true in the culture, it was first true in the church. The need for men, males, to reclaim their masculinity has never been greater in the church. If the church is established by Christ to be the sole means of salvation, which it is, to be involved in the work of salvation means you are involved in the work of saving souls. That's the point. So if the church is not doing that correctly, if members of the church are not doing that correctly, and people are left to their own instinct, their own default of embracing sin and chasing after it and it being attractive and all of that, that's our natural default, remember. We're not neutral. We're born in original sin. We have a desire, a concupiscence that theologians use, for what is bad for us, and objectively bad in and of itself, but for us it's destructive. So that's why people can't stop smoking. That's why some people can't stop drinking. That's why some people can't stop gambling. That's why some people can't stop with porn or whatever the case is. They can stop, but they're fighting every single fallen nature instinct that they have. So for men to sort of step back up into the fore and take control, they first have to take control of themselves. And I don't really think that most men, certainly in the church, definitely in the culture, really realize the damage that has befallen us over all of these years. The idea of like a rugged man, I'm not talking about his appearance, I'm just talking about a guy who's very rugged. He stays in the fight. He understands there's a fight. He understands what his role is in the fight, whatever the fight is. And, can you imagine, honestly, seriously, can you imagine tens of thousands of, 18 to 24-year-olds today storming the beaches of Normandy, understanding that Fortress Europa, Hitler's fortress, has to be wiped out, that Europe has to be liberated. Kind of find that a little difficult to picture today, that there would be tens of thousands of young men that would understand the need for that and make whatever the sacrifices are they need to make. I've seen lots of interviews, kind of a World War II buff, and I've seen lots of interviews with various American soldiers who stormed the beaches at Omaha Beach and in the Normandy invasion. But there were 5 beaches, 2 of them were American, 3 of them were American. 2 of them were American, Omaha and Utah. They were, while those assaults were going on, they were saying they were terrified. But they did it anyway, so that's the point. They understood the greater need. They saw something that was more important than themselves. And look, lots of those guys, when you see those old films of the landing craft doors opening and them running out of them, lots of those guys were cut to ribbons before they even got off the ship, off the landing craft. Is there that sort of understanding today, or would it be, it's not a question, are you terrified or are you scared? Of course you are. You're a human being. You see bullets flying at you, or you're in a personal situation where if you do X, Y, or Z, which is the right thing to do, that you're going to pay the price for it. The difference is from back then to today is I don't think many guys today would do the right thing. There has been such a weakening, such a de-emphasizing of what we really understand masculinity to be about. Masculinity is given to us for the sake of the other and to protect the other. We have, brute force in order to physically defend, to physically exert ourselves to do whatever it is we need to do, in a given physical situation. You need extrication or lift somebody up from some whatever the case is. We have muscles and skeletons and whatever that are built for the ruggedness of that. Likewise, there's an interior ruggedness that has to go along with that. Now, even feminism hasn't been able to completely, I'll put a big C there, completely change the physical makeup of the male physique. Although there certainly do seem to be a heck of a lot more kind of androgynous looking guys walking around today than I remember when I was 20, 25 years old. Maybe there were and I just didn't notice them, but boy, it sure seems like the world is flooded with them today. And even look at the stars in Hollywood, for example. Look at the stars of yesteryear, the men, the big stars. John Wayne, I'm not talking about their personal lives, I'm just talking about their physical presence. John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, Steve McQueen. I mean, these guys were just like, they were men's men, and guys identified with them. That's not really so much the case today. You really don't, when you throw in the whole, oh, I'm in touch with my feelings and all that sort of stuff, that you didn't hear and see that back in the 50s and 60s movies, 40s movies. Now it's sort of the predominant thing of whatever character is being portrayed by somebody. Thank you for watching The Michael Voris Show. If you'd like to watch the entire episode, please head over to churchmilitant.com and sign up as a premium member. If you need to sign up to become a premium member, go to churchmilitant.com/go premium.